we're going to do the short version here. We live our code of values by respect. Clayton?
I have it.
Oh, that's right. We'll do short.
We live our code of values by integrity.
And Paul?
We live our code of values with customer focus.
And we live our code of values by having fun in the process. That's what we call our Friday afternoon short version for you guys that haven't heard that before. Okay. So, let's do a real quick who we got. We got myself, Clayton. Hi, Ed. Mr. Siebert, you there? Not in yet. Mike, what shop are you with, Mike?
With Dave Mackey in Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay, well, welcome. We appreciate you coming on board. And we got Paul. Anybody else on just on the phone?
Mike Scorzo.
Hi, Mike. Got Mike Scorzo. Okay. So, let's start out with. Are you recording? Okay. So we're gonna. Clayton's gonna be a presentation, but I wanted to start out with something that probably has rattled y'all, which is the message from the price increase letter from Cardinal. Let me give you an update on that. If you're not aware of this, I pulled it up. Cardinal has sent out a notice that on 3/8 and a half inch glass there's going to be a 10% increase, and on fabrication a 3% increase. I think, as you guys know, you're probably getting hit from other vendors and all this. It appears to be an industry-wide thing. First, let's start with your own shower design guides, and then we'll address Lowe's. With your own shower design guides, we are working on 5 new price levels. You need to anticipate. Some of you are lateral. You're basically going to, it's a wash, and some of you will see a little bit of an increase, and really depended on where you started out at. A little bit of a decrease, and some a little bit bigger decrease, because we're taking 17 levels down to 5. And so some of you still might see, none of you should go backwards greater than this particular increase, which you would have done anyway. And to the extent we need to get in and we need to look at where you're placed further, that will be the next step, okay? But all we're doing is we're saying the levels they have you on now, we're consolidating them over so they're at worst case lateral, and some of them, because they were worse levels already. If you're lateral, you're at the higher end of that particular grouping as far as favorable, and some of the people could see bigger savings because they had worse price lists than you. For example, everybody that's on price list 1 through 5, would probably go on our new price list number 1. Well, that means if you want 5, the higher it gets, the better price it is. If you had number 5, then you're probably lateral. If you were on price list number 1, you're going to see an improvement. So, the first thing is to get things in alignment. The second issue is if you're not buying from Cardinal because they're not competitive for you and this and that, that's a different discussion, which we're more than happy to get information to them. And what we're going to want to know, and we'll go through and try to help negotiate on your behalf. There's 2 ways. This is starting to go from your local rep, taking it out of his hands, and we're kind of dealing with the national side on it, but the local rep will be aware and involved. What we want to know is how much purchases did you do in shower doors last year? Total purchases, COGS. The best estimate. What the trend looks like this year for your shower door sales, and where those purchases are going, and why you're not, and when I feed that to Cardinal, I can show them that basically if they even want to be considered or get in the game, they need to be, give you a more reason to use them. And when I give them that information, I simply send them a request to ask to review it. We will review it with them, and we'll try to get them to give you a better price. But just saying I want a better price without providing some logic or some information on our side, I don't know if that's fair. And, I want to be armed with, hey, you're missing it. Now they have a business decision. And you also need to know, are you willing to split most of your business, split some of your business if you get in the ball game, or are you willing to shift to them? I mean, they got to earn it from a delivery standpoint and stuff, but kind of what your thoughts are. If they can get you competitive or a better price, I'm ready to give them all my business. I'm ready to give them, use them as a backup. I'm willing to split my business or, kind of start ordering more from them and let them earn more of it. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for before I go to them. And there isn't a right or wrong answer. We just need to understand it. Now let's talk about Lowe's. I went to Cardinal. I did not expect this increase. Frankly, they didn't expect to get it. But what happens is everything runs downhill. When they get an increase and they no longer can absorb it, they need to take it out to the market. Now our role is we got to take it to our end of the market. Obviously, with Lowe's, we've printed the books we've got, and we cannot just change on a dime. We don't have as much latitude. First thing is, by the way, the other thing is our increase is delayed to May 16th, so they gave us a couple more weeks over the regular market. Talking Glass Doctor. For Lowe's, I got them to hold the pricing through for another 6-month window, to hold the pricing through October 31st. The reason being, we're just getting our books out there, and we can't be swapping them out this quick. And and we are not going to we can't absorb, nor are we willing to absorb the difference. But we do need to be prepared that we'll probably have to distribute a new set with adjusted pricing, come November, or come mid-October, which means there's an investment, but by that time we'll be able to see how problematic that is or isn't for us to go through another set of, distribute a new set of books. Any questions on that? I think it's going to end up being probably the way things look, I think from a standpoint of your regular shower doors, it wouldn't surprise me if you need to order new shower design guides as much as quarterly. And frankly, a 10% increase on average, our average ticket's about $1,400. 10% increase on glass. Glass is about half of it, so that's about $60-$70 on a unit. That's worth ordering a $30 book and passing it on. That's the reality. A mistake is saying to yourself, I'm going to keep absorbing it. Because, you're just killing yourself. Of course, it's your decision. But both for menu pricing and for the shower design guide, at a minimum, you're probably going to need to plan on making your adjustments and upping it at least a couple times a year. When we go fully electronic, that relieves a lot of that pressure because you can do it without the cost. But we're just not there yet.
Michael,
Yes.
that's Jeff Miller. Are you saying that this price increase is affecting the Lowe's pricing as well?
No, what I'm saying is the Lowe's pricing is being held and through until October 31st.
No, I mean our call side.
No, our cost side that we set it up on today is not changing. So what's going to happen is they're mirroring the Lowe's pricing that they're giving us, which is the 7% off, without the 10%, the 3% increases. They're mirroring that, and they're holding that through October 31st. Now, next week, we'll be distributing all new price lists that have their 5 new price levels and also absorb this increase for your regular stuff. So, no, you're not absorbing this increase in the 4 Lowe's.
Okay, so Cardinal just had a price increase back in September of 2015.
Yes. Yeah.
Is this market changing this much as fast? Because our other heavy glass suppliers are not sharing this with us.
I suspect the only 2 I'm close to is Hartung and Cardinal, Agalite and Cardinal, and I suspect one's coming through with Agalite. And they came through at the same time last time also. So, you know, and I know I was talking with Doug Dotson yesterday, and he's getting hit with increases left and right over glass costs. He said they got 4 or 5 this last week. So it's not just the Cardinal thing. You know, as a matter of fact, he's going to rerun his menu price guides, and and also order new shower design guides because he's decided he's not passing it on. It's too costly for him.
Right, and we're at that same point too. When we try to use the menu pricing guide for a quarter-inch temper, we're finding it's nowhere even near reflective of what we use glass for.
Yeah. Now I don't know. One of the things we're doing as a group is we're trying to go back and see how old your menu price guides are. But your menu price guides at the minimum should be no older than a year old. And if they are, it's just you're costing yourself money because they really need to be. What's that?
6 years old.
Yeah. Well, then you're more than due. I can't even imagine. I can't even guess how many price increases you've absorbed on your side, rather than Lumen. Yeah. So, okay. Anybody have questions on what I just went over? Okay. Thank you. You want to go ahead and pull up your presentation?
Sure.
We've got some things to cover, and then we want to get to the roundtable, which is the important part, finding out. We know that there's been some appointments going on and this and that. We'll get through some of the housekeeping stuff, and then we'll get to the fun part, which is figuring out what we're learning out there. Good, bad, and different, and how the things are going. So you guys can kind of be thinking in your mind what you want to share with us while we get through this. Let's see, Clayton, you need control that.
Are you recording this?
Yes. Yes, we are. Okay.
All right.
Take it to slideshow. It's slideshow. Okay.
Okay, this is just an outline of some of the things that we wanted to talk about this week. The first thing I wanted to see is are there any updates on the presentations that have occurred since our last call? I know Jim Bernstein had a meeting. Jeff, did you have a meeting?
Yeah, Jeff, why don't we start with you? You had Clarence and yourself in Market 814, and tell us what the attendance was like, what the questions were, and kind of how it went.
Okay. We presented on Wednesday of this week at the South Hagerstown, Maryland store, and Clarence came over and met with us. Is Clarence on the call?
No, I don't hear him. He didn't. Okay.
Okay, so one of our CSR scale went along and helped assist with it. We had attendance of probably about 20 people. We had PSIs mostly, some plumbing specialists, a district manager, and it went really well. They had a barrage of questions, as you can imagine, but we did hold it to fairly close to an hour, might have been an hour and 10 minutes all told. Their major problem, and I did 2 presentations that day. I did the first one in the morning, and then I had about 10 to 12 people in another Lowe's store that afternoon. The same thing happened both times, both stores. Their problem is mostly they don't know how to input anything in their system. And they were coming to me with those questions about how to input their orders in their Lowe's system.
Okay. So, did we arm you with again? And this, I guess, let me give you the good news and the bad news. The good news, the more we learn this, and the more we're able to guide them, the more they're going to look to us as the experts and gravitate to us. The bad news is that we have to fill a role sometimes that really you'd say Lowe's ought to be doing this, and it just we're going to take that feedback. We have every other meeting with our guy Kevin, and we're going to say this needs to be improved. But this is what this is what we started to do. We have a thing he sent us that explains to them where to go find it in their system and has some screenshots. And Jeff, I'm not sure we got it to you.
You did.
And I think all we can do is say, hey, we don't know your system, but here's what it is. And over the course of time, I'm trying to get Kelly and Clayton very good at understanding it as much as they can without being in their system. And I would encourage you guys to look through it so at least you can talk to it and either hand that out or pull that up. Were you able to get them pointed in the right direction at all?
Yes, sir. We ended up using the emails that you're talking about with the screenshots, and we were able to send those. And we were actually now, because of us reaching out and spending some time in these meetings, they now have bases to go with the names and contact numbers, and they are now reaching back out in our direction for the help that we told them that we could give them. So we're sharing these screenshot emails with them, and they're saying, "Oh, well, that's easy." Well, yeah, of course, anything's easy if you have it laid out in front of you. And I said, you'll have to pardon us. We don't know your system, but here are these 6-digit numbers that are on the sales sheet. So I assume that this has something to do. You all must know this number from somewhere. Well, actually, one of the ladies at the afternoon presentation I did the other day, she and the store manager, they pulled up their sales system, and it does not identify those 6-digit numbers that begin with a 6 that are on the sales sheet. It does not pull those up, but it asks the same question. So, for whatever reason, Lowe's has given us those 6-digit numbers that are in parentheses, and I don't know why, because at the store level, they don't need that. They have the same question, like the mileage. We have a 6-digit code that is listed on that sales sheet. At the store level, when they go to input it, it just says how many miles does it pass our 20-mile radius.
Okay.
And so this must be a backdoor coding thing that Lowe's is using to track these mileage charges or these overages or anything like that. But on the front side, they don't see this, so I'm not quite sure why it's on our form, but it is.
Okay.
But the screenshots they don't.
Okay. So what we can do is I'm not sure that it hurts. Okay, but yeah, the assumption was when they sent us all that, we put it on the forms, not knowing what they see in their system or not. But we can. Clayton will put a note down. The next time we run them, we can ask ourselves, does it hurt? Do we want to leave them on there, or do we want to remove them because it adds confusion? And I guess I'm not sure, Jeff. Are you saying we should remove them the next run of the forms?
No, they just didn't know what it meant at the store level. Another thing that they had as a point of confusion, and I'll bring this up for having this call because I was trying to think of an adequate way to answer it. They wanted to know, on there we talk about an extra, like for our fabrication charges, we talk about an extra hinge. And then there's a dollar amount on there. When is it dictated or by whom that an extra hinge is needed? If we're pricing a shower out for them, how would we know? If the customer says, I don't want 2, I want 3, so you add an extra one?
It's a good question. And is anybody, Ed Sieber, are you on the call?
Yeah, hey Mike. I think originally on there, I think it was going to be a large door and something that didn't require something because of the weight of it. Used mainly on the legacy side as opposed to the CSI side. Yeah, I can see why we use the CSI because they wouldn't know. That seems to have shown that this is going to be very small doors, and that will be a reason for another thing. But other than that, rarely. But I think we put it on there so that it covers when we're out doing that as it wasn't before.
Yeah, if for some reason, either a customer says I want 3 inches, or it's a huge door. I don't quite know how to train them on the break point, but I think they can assume, because the hardware package is built on the backside. I think it's really rare where that comes up. But if we run into something kind of out of the norm that they couldn't have seen when we're on site, and for stability, we think it needs another hinge. Well, we already know what the add-on would need to be.
Okay. Is there a certain rule of thumb that's going to tell us when we would need a third hinge if we're doing this as a legacy measure? Because I've been doing these for a while, and I run them through Cardinal and let them engineer it, and I've had doors that are 92 inches tall, and they put 2 hinges on.
Anybody that does shower doors know. I think you're probably at this point. It's a kind of a customer request thing, and I don't think they would. I don't think they would run it through and send it to you if it had to have 3 inches.
Right. And then another question that came up that I was trying to think about how best to address, and it looks like I guess it was done when we did this last revision to the guide, but it talks about outages. So if you're doing a door or a door in an inline panel and both walls are out, when you come to the outages part in the fabrication, it says over 2. So you only have 2 walls on a door or a door in an inline panel. So if both walls are out, we're not charging for those outages.
Mike, if I'm not mistaken, this one built in, right?
Yeah.
So you're putting out on the bottom, right? So if the bottom's out, so if the sides are out, we have one out.
Right.
We do know about that sometimes. So if Mike already has 2 outages, so basically it's Cardinal outages. So we still like this.
Yeah, and the reason was we're just assuming, because the worst thing we do is go back to the customer and have them feel like we're nickeling and diming them. So we said if the outage is, if there's 2, well, we don't have to do that. If there's more than 2, then we could show them and we can charge them for the outage, what it really is.
Yeah, and that was the other thing that I was getting as feedback from the PSIs in this meeting. All of them were groaning and grumbling about the process that they have to go back through when there are any changes to the pricing that is given to the customer the first go around.
Well,
they talked about what a hassle it is in their system to have to account for it, and some of them were saying, well, it might be easier to just figure extra in the beginning and not give it back to the customer. Some of them were saying, no, it's easier to not figure it and then have to hand it in. So I was getting both sides of the coin from them, and they couldn't land on what was better or worse for them.
So that is a pain point, and that's something that we think we cut out quite a bit, and it's only going to be as good and as comfortable as they get building the door right. And on the PSI stuff, it's easy because they're holding the contractor accountable to the dimensions and all that. And then we're in control on the other side. But that was a huge issue for them because they were change order crazy. And I think even though we'll have some, we're settling that way down is what we're finding. I don't know, Ed, if you have anything to add, because it is a pain. And what we're trying to do is have as little of that as possible. And if it comes up, you can say Lowe's knows we built 2 in because we're trying to minimize that. Yeah, I mean, that's the most common thing that you got to go back and do an adjustment for is the walls are out of square. And I would say that, Ed, how many change orders, kind of what's your approach on change orders, and how many have you ran into?
Yeah, and all the ones we've done before, Mike, we haven't had any change orders. And it's, to be honest, it's just because I know that we've got a few things built in there, even if something else comes up, like an item leave over or even another interest again, it would be ideal to make sure that if we come out to do it, not to the customer. That's exactly right. That was one of the biggest things that they didn't like. The one not being able to have some stuff time. As the game board. That was the whole purpose of the book. Was to alleviate those things that you get right in the front and know that once they got in a whole other lab, something really bad has happened. Life is going to stay the same.
You know, and unless they've screwed up and they're not able to, you know, that's why they're training. They have incentive to avoid that, to learn how to do it with our guidance. And again, you can send them to Clayton. You can have them when they send in their order, go over it with Clayton. I mean, we have help desks here. They can either do it with you guys or they can do it with us. Same thing with you're asking them on the system. You got two things, and that's why you want to show them that page in the book. You have your information in, and then you also have Kelly and Clayton's information. We have resources, and if you guys are slamming busy or whatever, just point them to us. I mean, we have two people here that, you know, are gonna give them the guidance they need, and they're here and they're more available than you guys probably are as you're running around. But what we don't want is we don't want to take away your personal relationship at the extent that that's working for you.
Right, and that's what we're really hoping for, is to have that be where, you know, they reach out to us when they have a problem. I really do think that this program has a lot of legs to it if we can work through the kinks on it, because, listen, any Lowe's store is going to have way more foot traffic than any Glasshocker store on Bentonville.
Right. And that's what we believe. That's what we hope. And again, I don't know it's ever going to be perfect, but I think we can wrap our arms around all the things that, you know, these kind of things that are coming up. And what's nice is it's our program. We're in control. And then we're going to be the experts, and we get to deal with this, and it's nothing that Lowe's can take out from underneath us. You know, they have to unplug unplug the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, they're very excited about the fact that they have pricing in front of them, and they can get, you know, I would say a very close idea for the customer, because they have all voiced opinions to me that was one of the things that was a pain before. They could never price that part of their PSI job to their customer. They had to leave that as a big blank and then try to fill it in later and hope for the best. Now they can go into it with some reasonable semblance of what the cost mechanism is going to be there.
One thing I wanted to point out, we were talking about incentive with them reaching out to us. I think it's probably a good idea to also reach out to them, just because, especially like with the plumbing departments, we've been receiving a lot of calls from plumbing departments with work orders, with jobs, but they have no idea what's going on. They don't even know what the program is. They don't know anything about it. And so not only the PSIs and them, but also the plumbing departments, because it's going to help weed out those jobs that are type 1 that we're receiving, and in that way we can kind of weed out the stuff that is just busy work, trying to call and figure out what kind of job it is and why they're sending it to us, because it's just misinformation. It's just they don't know whether they should send it to us or not, and so they just are.
So this is what we're seeing, and it shouldn't be a surprise. Okay, and again, the bright side is we're the solution, and the time we're into this is going to settle us down. But the legacy is the wild, wild west. Nobody knows what's going on. They're super excited about it. They have needs. Some of the needs are what we have, but a lot of these needs they're just thinking, oh, I need an installer, and they don't know. What we're doing is we're following up with every one of those. We encourage you to, and we're trying to do two things. Once we get them, we're trying to follow up with the person and explain to them the difference. You know, a lot of times this is after we get the information from you guys talking to the customer, and then we're also going to go back and try to track down the field manager, because the field manager is kind of the key to all the legacy people, the field service manager. and we're going to rely on him to help us, identify the plumbing manager. Between the plumbing department manager and the field service manager, they have a vested interest to create more clarity with our assistance, and that's where it's going to get solved. The PSI, the field service manager, is only involved with the PSI on a warranty issue. Otherwise, the PSI kind of stands alone, But they don't have this issue. They don't have this confusion. So the bright side is, again, I'm not surprised by any of this. And I don't think it ever gets worse, but it's something we got to walk through as we're trying to get them used to it. And hopefully they're not making the same mistakes over and over again. Now the flip side is, if you are interested in doing any of the installation stuff, what's surfacing is for their semi-custom and all this, they have some huge needs. We're not obligated to do it, right? We're obligated to be the experts in this field. But you know what? It's your business to say yes or no to what's setting up. It's your business to say yes or no to set up to help them on that side. And in some cases, the field service manager is the one that negotiates the pricing. We're trying to get our hands around it, and we want to help, but we want to understand what that looks like. But it's up to you guys whether you want that business or not. It's a different animal, and you would be dealing directly with them. You have to register on this website, become an installer for them, and that's you and them dealing directly with however that program works. But one's going to lead to the other, because as they like you on this, they're going to want you to do the other stuff. My recommendation is take a hard look at the semi-custom and don't screw with the other stuff.
We had an instance yesterday or the day before where I got a call from a plumbing department, and they sent me a work order for one of Clarence Williams' stores, and it was just an install, and I explained to her, and I sent her an email, and I basically used as many avenues of communication as I could so that she would remember what kind of program it was and all that. And she was very, very grateful. She was very excited about the program, and she responded and said that she actually convinced their installer to install it. He didn't know what the program was. He thought it was heavy glass, but it wasn't. And he thought it was frameless, but it wasn't. So he ended up going back and installing it. But the idea was that she responded to me, and she was very grateful for the information that I gave her. She was very grateful for the training that I kind of just typed out what the program was and put it into text so that she could read it and print it out and use it.
Yeah, so the guidance, and you know what that does again, guys, it should settle down, but it makes us the experts and the high-end people, okay? And again, it's our choice whether we want to go down and play in any of these other areas, but it puts us on a pedestal as the experts, which is not a bad thing, And again, there's always turnover, but once the core of the people, we've either talked to them or the field service manager's gone back to them or we've seen them in the stores, the clarity will come. And as we know, we need to create more materials and stuff. We can help arm them with those things. We need to put together things that make sense, that are repetitive, that we can arm you guys with, just, to use. Go ahead, whoever's going to talk.
I would advise you guys to on those semi-frameless or the stuff that they have in stock as custom install, not custom, but the stuff that they have on their floor. Other than the little small stick stuff, they could be anywhere from $300 to $400 for that. Don't pay yourself for it. I would always throw out a kind of a higher number, and you would come back and say, well, we do need to get this to $400. I mean, they're getting decent money on stuff that, once you get down, you don't take it an hour. So don't sell yourself for it when it does calm down.
Yeah, and we are starting to work on materials that we could give y'all, maybe just a one-page sheet of paper that you can print out and leave in a plumbing department that kind of is just a general overview of the programs, a short explanation. That way they have something that they can look at and leave and have for multiple people.
Right. Like Clayton said, so we can, as he drafts this response, we're trying to take it and we can email that out after we talk to them, or when we talk to them, that gives them the idea. And then also, if you guys go by and once you guys are aware of that, just dropping it off and so they can put it somewhere should help the process. And they're really grateful because they don't get that kind of clarity, or it's too hard for them to find in their system. All this stuff's in their system, but as you're finding out, half the people don't know where to find things in their Lowe's link, in their Lowe's system, because there's just so much in there.
Well, across the board, what I keep hearing, and it's a general consensus among, it doesn't matter which store or how many employees, they all talk about the fact that Lowe's does not give them any training.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're trying to.
Pass out from the top, and you just kind of have to jump in and hang on and hopefully muddle through it.
And that's one of the main reasons we're working really hard to provide those materials that the physical, like example workbooks, stuff like that you can actually leave there so that they can go through and multiple people can have it. They can make copies of it, whatever they want, but it's just something that it doesn't take any work from you to just hand something like that out, and they don't even have to do it while you're there, but it has like an answer sheet behind each page, and they can work through the estimate form, and they have something there that helps train them, that doesn't take any work on our part or the Lowe's administration part, but it's something that's pretty simple that you can just leave there.
Yeah. So again, anytime you have all these suggestions, keep sending it. Clayton's kind of the go-to, Clayton or Kelly, and we'll kind of cool them down, and we'll bring them back, and we'll say, okay, we're ready, or we got this together. This is how we use it. To move on here, Jim Bernstein went and saw 6 stores this last week, and this is how he was effective on doing it. He emailed all the contacts that were provided him, that we have on our list, okay, and he also copied us on those emails, and he got a reply, and he was able to set up appointments, and we were able to work together on that to get him so he could get in there and meet with the people. Jim, are you on the call? Have you joined the call? So I guess what we wanted, the moral of the story is that the emailing is by far, just stopping by, real dangerous, could be a waste of time. If you happen to be in the area, it's not bad to walk in, but don't expect to be able to get a lot accomplished. But the emailing the PSIs and emailing the field service manager and that process works. And tag teaming, if you do that, please copy Kelly so she can help support you on the backside and know what's going on. Can you pull up we have a shared file that we've sent out to you guys that shows this is what we show as far as meetings that have gone on. Okay? You can see, these are what's scheduled and who's doing what, who's presenting. Now we will have to take this and we'll change it because obviously the meeting date needs to be the oldest to the newest.
Yeah, we were just putting them in as we got them, and it was kind of sporadic because I know y'all are emailing them and contacting them. We just haven't been copied on all of the emails, and so we're kind of gathering information as we get it. But these are just the scheduled meetings that we've received from you guys.
Yeah, and we'll tell you who was there and who did it. Any other, go to the other sheet, which is our frequently asked questions.
Okay.
Another thing that's in here is we're starting to create a log of questions, and they have access to this, right? Mm-hmm. If you have any questions how to get to this, you're all part of this. You can see there's a store roster, contract sheet. Here is, we're trying to take all these questions that come up and we're trying to basically answer them. And we'll build a library here that we'll probably digitize at some point. So,
Well, that's a good idea.
right. So, so if you haven't had a chance to go through this, or you think something needs to be added to it, please, make sure Clayton and them have it. We'll get it framed and we'll get it on this list, and and then we'll organize it. But this is the way to help Lowe's and help us, and then also the next market we open, all these questions we're working through will get easier and easier, and we'll have reference documents.
I have already sent these files out, so if you haven't received them, give me a shout and I can make sure that you have access to it.
Yeah. So if you don't have access to get it through a Dropbox, or is this a Google or
Google.
a Google sheet, and you wonder what the Google sheet, how do I do that? Again, contact Clayton, because what happens is this is real time. You can click on this link and you can go into these things real time and see them, and he can help you get set up, and then you can print them off or do whatever you need to do. Go to the other stuff that's in there.
We have the PSI contact information, and so by market, we have all the PSIs and the phone numbers that we've received from Lowe's.
So we're trying to get this filled in. PSIs, market, whatever information, if we need to add, we want plumbing manager, field service managers. I mean, basically, we're trying to build this library that's an easy, quick reference for you. And we don't always get them from Lowe's first.
Here's our meeting materials that we have sent out to y'all. We just wanted to have a folder where y'all would be able to download it and print it off if needed. Here's the PSI presentation PowerPoint. This is the Google Sheet that has all the scheduled meetings that we just showed you. These are links to the video that we recorded of Mike giving the presentation, so you can watch him give the presentation and kind of get an idea of what to talk about, the points in the PowerPoint. That's just a general Corrigo training video if you need it. Let's see.
Now on that, you guys, that's to help you just get a feel for how to do it. That's the presentation's too long, okay? So there's some areas you guys can make it your own, but I am gonna come back and shorten it up and tune it up. But we had to get started with something, and I'm gonna create one for Legacy, specific for Legacy too. But it's on my list. Haven't got it. Wish to have it done by now, but this should give you enough to get going.
This is the estimate form. Again, just stuff you can download to print out if you need it. This is the workbook that we sent out with the case study. Gives them stuff that they can actually keep and go through. These are the links to our meetings, which are recorded, and so this one will be here at the end later. Let's see. Here's the
First order those cooking lists at the top. Keep pushing it up. Okay.
This is the screenshot of the sheet that shows how much each person owes for the materials, and it hasn't changed since our last meeting because we haven't invoiced any work orders yet. And this is the store roster, and so it just goes by store number, and it shows the location and who's covering the store. And so we just wanted to provide as many materials and kind of help desk type files that you can use, that you can print off, that you can go back and look at, that you can save to use in your stores and while contacting the PSIs and the stores themselves.
So if there's tools you need or that you want to add it, again, we'll go to Clayton or Kelly, either one, because they work it side by side, and then we'll sit down and figure out, how to work with you to prioritize and get you what you need. Go ahead and go back to the presentation. Okay, so on the 5th, what's the webinar? Who's gonna be on the webinar?
I believe I got the email from.
I'm giving a webinar on the 5th, and I know what it is. The invite of every PSI in the new market, along with the managers, are invited through Lowe's to come to the webinar, and I'm going to have 2 of them that day. Well, I'll be going over this. Now, this is arranged by Kelly Martin, who's the head of the PSIs. They've asked that we do this, and so this is so we can do a training for anybody electronically. We'll record it, and I'll walk through the presentation. I may not have time to shorten it up by then, but we got 2 of them going. Make sure they all have invitations if they want to participate. Okay, we'll make sure you have invitations if you want to participate. Shower design guide payment. What was the note?
That's just. I wanted to point out that it hasn't changed and show them that the sheet is on the Google files that they can look at.
Okay, I know Marcus isn't on there. ACH forms, we still need 3 of them from 3 people. And what I would say is basically Gordon's on here and he's got a fair amount of activity. We got to tell him we're not sending you another work order, and we'll find someone else to do it if you can't get the form in.
Okay.
You know, and the other ones haven't had one yet, but we need to. I don't want any work. No work orders are going out without getting this in our hands. It's just not that hard. And then what about your Corrigo notes?
Just a reminder, the more notes you add to Corrigo to update us on when you contact the customer, when you have contact with the Lowe's stores on work orders, when you have any kind of update on a work order, if you add that to Corrigo, it helps tremendously with the communication between us and the Lowe's stores and you and the Lowe's stores and you and us. Basically, it just kind of streamlines everything because they have multiple people working different shifts in the same department, and they have reminders set, and we'll get the same. We'll get a call on the same work order 3 times a day if we don't have them save it in their system that we have given them the status of the work order.
So what this looks like, if you're not good at leaving notes with really every touch point, or as many as you can think of, what's going to happen is you're going to get hounded a lot when we don't want to hound you, and we're getting hounded a lot, and Lowe's is getting hounded now. As this evolves, we're going to open up this portal so they can go in and see them, and we're starting to work on that. It's going to take some time, and now everybody can see it. So all these duplicate calls and all this stuff, we believe we could settle that way down. But none of it's going to work if we can't do a good job keeping notes. And I think you're getting used to us sending questions and everything through, and you guys getting alerted, and it creates a log so everybody can see what's going on. Us, you, and the store, because we go put in notes whenever we talk to a store that called. So we just need everybody to be, really diligent about this. Otherwise, as this program goes where we know it's going, it picks up a bunch of steam. It's really not manageable any other way than using this tool.
I have a question in regards to this Corrigo system that Jeff did.
Yeah.
Clayton, when you all are entering these work orders in, are you able to put in on our side that we can see what the person's name is from the Lowe's store who submitted it and what departments they're in, so we can see all this?
Let me look into that because I know there's a way.
We're going to try to find out what they have told the customer they can get. And so far, we're making appointments and going out, finding out if the frame box shower unit that we don't do. So
Right.
we're trying to now get in contact with the person at the Lowe's store to say, what is it that you have told the customer they can get? And kind of, re-qualifying it before we take our time, effort, and energy to set up appointments that are going to nowhere.
Right. The good thing is Corrigo is really flexible in that we can add stuff into the automatic things that are sent to you through Corrigo, and so we can edit that. I just need to go in and find basically search for the setting that will allow me to add a field that will automatically populate the
We'll get that in
the
there,
contact.
Jeff.
But yes.
That's an important piece of information. We'll get that in there.
Yeah.
Give us a week or so, a week or sooner,
Yeah,
but
and even on their side, and I don't know what control we have over, as they input it for you all to receive, but if we can have a line in there that says type of shower, and it would say heavy glass or something, or they have to pick the glass, they have to pick the type of shower, because if we don't give them a choice of a metal frame unit, and it says heavy glass only, that might stop some of this already, because the meetings I did this week, I on the cards as a plumbing specialist, the embossed cards, the two sides, we printed up labels that said that it was heavy glass only, no metal frame unit, to try to reiterate those points to those plumbing specialists and in those departments that I was the programmer.
okay. Well, they don't right now. They input in the load system. But they're not inputting in Corrigo, but let's put that on there and let's see if there's any mechanism that can be done on the load side. Okay. So good suggestions. That's what we're looking for. Mike Scorzo, are you still there? Okay. Dave Mackey, or let's see, it was I'm sorry, who was representing Dave Mackey's store?
My job.
Mike, any new reports on your end? Anything going on your end?
Yeah, we're actually, I was at three stores, and that three stores tell me they're not doing PSI till fall.
Okay.
They're just like, they have, you might know who PSI is.
Okay.
So there's a new program rolling out in the fall, and they're kind of confirming that, and I know, I think this week we've got 2 legacy orders.
Okay. So that wasn't what's happening there. Lowe's is probably late getting it rolled out because they're helping us pick the markets. So I guess you could hopefully try to tame the legacy, and you'll be there nice and early as they hire PSIs, to get them in at the beginning. But I guess all you can do is focus on talking to the stores, and that means probably you're going to have to determine how much effort and time it's worth going into these stores, and don't, because I've already told Lowe's, we'll do what makes sense, but we're not sure it makes sense to run all over, especially the stores that are not in our sweet spot if there's no PSI program yet. But if you feel when you go in and meet these people, if you have the time, it's worth your while, it's not taking you away from other things, it's not going to hurt you, it's a good thing, but our expectation isn't that you go to every store if it's just legacy. You got to tell us. We do need to know if you are or not, and if you can or not, or if you want to or not. But we're not going to ask you to do anything that it doesn't provide, that we don't think can provide you a return. Okay. As far as numbers, do we have anything that shows the numbers? You're putting a Google sheet as far as how many dispatches we got this week and how many things we've invoiced?
No,
Okay.
I don't have that.
So I'll tell you what we're trying to get together. When we get on this call every 2 weeks, we're trying to get a list together where we can show you in that 2-week period how many orders we've taken, how many have come from what stores, how many cancellations we've gotten, how many actual orders, are waiting, or basically POs we've gotten, and how many jobs were done that we've invoiced. So we're going to try to feed back the data for you to see where it's happening and not, so we can see the program build, and we can also communicate with the people that are getting a lot and figuring out if there's anything they're doing that we can learn from. Some of it is you just got markets in different places. You've got market in, some markets are going to be more robust than others. Some are going to come up slower than others. It's just got a little bit of everything going on.
I do have.
So we got reports, but we're going to do it in a summarized form. As you can see, Clayton's starting to pull reports out of the system. of activity by franchisee. This is something that, you know, at some point we might even auto generate and send it to you. We're not opposed to, you know, everybody seeing it, but you know, we're going to try to do this in a summary format. So you know, for example, on this, it's by month how much activity is going on by shop, by store or shop.
By shop.
This is by shop.
So here's Clarence Williams in it. These Eds.
Yeah. So, you know, again, we need to respect your time, but we've got the data, and there's no reason not to. We want you to know everything, good, bad, or indifferent, what we're seeing. I don't have anything else. To respect your time, does anybody have anything that they have questions on? Need to ask other franchisees? Anything else, guys? Okay, we'll call that a wrap then. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, thank you all. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.